Long ago there lived a woman. Mulrine was her name. She lived in the most secluded part of Limerick. Beside her home was the Lisnavora Hill, known to house the fairy folk themselves. 3 children did she have there: Peg, Liam, and the youngest boy, Billy. The most handsome in all of Ireland, did every person say, whoever laid their eyes upon this little child. The most beautiful golden hair that framed his little head like a halo. Under the great old ash trees were the children playing one October night. The hour was grown late. The sun had set. And they made their way home. And from the darkness, they heard a loud clanking. And they looked behind themselves to see a carriage being drawn by 4 old horses and a booming voice which spoke, "Make way, make way! The lady is on the road." To see 4 footmen. Each of these footmen ludicrously out of proportion, shallow features, small faces, and yellow, hardened, calloused skin. And the children, they shrank away in fear, but from the carriage, the most beautiful lady emerged. Long golden hair, multicolored beads wrapped around her neck, scarves upon her head that housed a rainbow star in the middle of her forehead. Now she leaned out towards the children and outstretched a hand. "Yes, the boy with the golden hair, I think," she said, pointing down at Billy, for he was a most beautiful child. With golden hair and eyes of blue. Well, Billy, he was only too happy to sit upon the lap of this beautiful lady when her hands outstretched to him. And this lady, she began to stroke a long, delicate hand against his cheek, petting him like a newborn cow. Now, the lady was so beautiful that the other children, they began to grow jealous. "Why does Billy get to sit with a beautiful lady when the 2 of us are just standing here?" they asked. But from the carriage, another woman emerged. One that the children did not like so well. This was a woman of black cloak, high cheekbones, pale white skin. And she leaned out over the shoulder of the beautiful lady, a hand outstretching towards Billy as she spoke. "Yes, the boy with the golden hair, I think." The children began to notice that the woman of black cloak was beginning to twitch and quiver, as she seemed now to be uncontrollably shaking, and she began to gather a rich silk and gold handkerchief that was in her fingers up to her lips, and she began to thrust fold after fold of it, ever so more of it, into her capacious mouth, as if to smother her laughter, with which she seemed convulsed, shaking and quivering, as it seemed, with suppressed merriment. But her eyes, which remained uncovered, looked angrier than they'd ever seen eyes look before. But the good lady was so beautiful that they just looked at her instead, as she began to throw apples from the carriage, the most beautiful red. Now the children, they ran after them, following, and they picked up another and another and another, and they turned around and they saw no carriage. They saw no beautiful lady. They certainly didn't see Billy. Horrified and full of fear, the children, they began to call out for their brother, "Billy! Billy!" But they got no reply. that's what they did. Arm in arm, the two children, they went back towards their mother to tell them, as we have heard, this sad story. Moll Ryan never more saw her darling son, but he was often seen by the young child Peg, Billy, peeping in the arch of the doorway. His hair had all but gone, his skin pale, yellow and hard, his eyes ringed with red, as if he hadn't slept a day in his life. Eventually the visits got less and less and less until they stopped altogether. So, little Billy was dead to his mother, his brother and his sister. But no grave would mark a place where they could go and grieve. There was no monument to which they could go and say a prayer for their departed loved one. No place to mark where his body was, unless it was the old hill of Lisnavora. No priest would say a prayer for him, for they believed no silly story of children taken by the fairies would be worth their time of day. But maybe, when you go home tonight, and you think of the hills of Lisnavora and little Billy, maybe